was kidnapped by Mexican cartels. I'm not the very best storyteller or public speaker, but I will do my best to tell you my story. I was born in the US. When I was 2, my mom sent me to live with her parents. She was still too young to raise a kid on her own and needed to save money for a better future. My grandparents lived in a desert region north of central Mexico, in a small village 2 hours away from a very large city called San Luis Potosí. This is something they would do frequently, and they would always take me with them. San Luis Potosí is a very large city in Mexico with subtle crime rate. Especially back in the 1980s, we would go to a location called El Centro, a very large historic paved plaza with shops, cafes, paliscas, and conquistador buildings. Some buildings were over 300 years old. This was a very busy area and rumored to be dangerous for the native tourists. This is what I remember. As we were in the store, I was eyeing a candy store just across from this shoe shop. My grandparents were distracted. I decided to run to the enticing candy store to look at a colorful arrangement of chocolates and gummies. My grandparents did not notice me walking out of the store to the candy shop across the shoe shop. As I walked into the candy store, I was in there for a minute and quickly lost my enthusiasm. I started feeling lost, so I started making my way back to the shoe shop to meet my grandparents. As I exited the store, I felt someone grab me very fast. It was an aggressive snatch. My mouth was being covered by a dirty hand that felt like some construction worker. I couldn't yell. I started crying, but this person was too strong. They forced my mouth shut. When I looked behind me immediately, I was being grabbed by 2 large men. It all happened too fast. I was too small to fight them. They carried me to a van parked close by and tossed me in the back while one drove and one sat with me in the back to restrain me. They told me to shut the fuck up or they would kill me. One pulled a knife and showed it to me. I was too scared to scream. I don't remember too much on this ride, wherever they were taking me, other than it was a quiet ride. They didn't speak to me unless it was to give me orders or tell me to shut up. I didn't hear them speak to each other. The thing I mostly remember is how terrified I was, because I've seen this in the movies. I was driven to a house which appeared to have 2 bedrooms. When I arrived to the destination, there was a woman there who appeared to be their accomplice. During this time, I was kept in a room with the bed in a drawer. During this time, I was told by a woman and 2 men that the reason why they brought me here, so they can dissect me and sell my organs and body parts to the black market. Apparently, they were a part of a large underground network. The women and kidnappers were very mean and short-tempered. Sometimes they went as far as beating me. It happened 2 times and I couldn't stop crying. They were overly paranoid about the neighbors hearing or seeing anything suspicious. Out of the 3 of them, the woman was the most disturbed. She did most of the talking. They told me horrific crimes they committed before to keep me in compliance. I won't discuss most of them because it makes me uncomfortable. Plus, I want to keep this brief and clear. One thing I remember that the woman told me is that she hated all children in general, every last one of them. She thought they were pests. Being a part of this gave her immense pleasure. This was the most traumatic time in my life. I am still discovering today how this incident fractured my 4-year-old mind. I was kept in this room for what felt like 2 days with no food. I was only given water. I am lucky to say that on the 2nd day, these 3 people were raided by the local police and were all arrested. I was safely returned to my grandparents. However, after this happened, my grandparents and I never spoke of the event again. A week before I turned 7, my granddad died of natural causes. After my grandpa's death, my biological mother showed up in my life for the first time at my grandmother's house to attend my grandfather's funeral. It was at this time that she decided it was time to take me with her and introduce me to the country I was born in, the United States. I don't believe my grandparents ever told my mom of my kidnapping. Today I'm an adult man in my 30s. I have never talked to my mom about this, let alone she has never asked me. We have a very distant mother-son relationship. I have every reason to believe she has no clue at all that this happened. Maybe my grandparents deliberately kept this from her to avoid causing her stress. My grandmother passed away in 2013, taking this unspoken memory with her. This is something traumatizing to only think about and never talk about with anyone because the event so far back still seems unreal. And the more time that goes by, the more distant and unreal this memory becomes. I haven't talked about this with anyone, not even my closest romantic partners who I shared everything with, except this. If I wanted to tell my current partner, I don't know how to talk about it. I'm just afraid she won't believe me. This episode is based on a true story.